There is a kind of silence that hurts, not the silence of peace, not the silence of rest. The silence of a boy sitting in a classroom, who doesn't understand a single word on the board, and is too ashamed to raise his hand. His name was Arian, 12 years old, torn shoes, a bag held together by a safety pin. Every morning, he walked 4 kilometers to school, not because he loved it, because his mother believed he could become something. She never got the chance to be. He sat in the last row, always. Not because he wanted to, because he thought he didn't deserve the front. Arian's father had left when he was 7. No letter, no reason, just gone. His mother washed dishes in 3 different homes every day. Her hands were always cracked, always bleeding a little at the knuckles. But every evening, she would come home, warm whatever was left in the pot, and ask Arian the same question. What did you learn today? And Arian would lie. Many things, Mama, because the truth was heavier than she needed to carry. The truth was, he was failing. Every subject, every test, every small moment where a teacher called his name, and the whole class turned to look at him, like he was a wrong answer that had accidentally been written on the board. He stared at the floor a lot. He had learned that floors don't judge you. One afternoon in November, the results came back. Mathematics, science, language, red marks across every page. His teacher, a tired man who had long stopped believing in miracles, placed the paper on Arian's desk without a word. But one boy in the front row laughed, not loudly, just enough. That small laugh traveled across the room, and landed somewhere deep inside Arian's chest, where it would stay for years. That evening, Arian did not go home. He sat near the old railway bridge at the edge of town, watched the river below, slow, dark, indifferent. He held his test paper, then he let it go, watched it fall, watched the water take it, and he thought something that broke him quietly. Maybe some people are just not meant for anything. There was a long pause. The river moved. The sky dimmed. He didn't. It was an old man who found him there. Not a famous teacher, not a wealthy man, a retired postman named Suleiman, who walked that bridge every evening, because his doctor told him his heart needed movement. He sat beside Arian without asking permission. They were quiet for a while. The river filled the silence between them. Then Suleiman said, without looking at him, "You know what this river has in common with you?" Arian didn't answer. It has no idea how far it will travel, but it never stops moving. Arian looked at him. The old man had a face full of lines, each one a story he hadn't told yet. "I failed my postal exam 4 times, Suleiman said. 4 times they told me I wasn't enough. The 5th time, I stopped trying to be enough for them. I just tried to be enough for myself." He paused. A train moved somewhere in the distance. "What are you afraid of, boy?" And Arian, for the first time in years, said the honest thing. "I'm afraid I'll disappoint her. My mother. She works so hard, and I am nothing." Suleiman nodded slowly. "The seed in the ground also looks like nothing. Buried, dark, still, but something is happening inside it, that no one can see yet. The question is not whether you will grow, the question is whether you'll give up, before the light finds you." That image stayed with Arian, the seed. He thought about it walking home. He thought about it lying in bed that night, staring at a ceiling with a small crack running through it. He had always seen himself as the crack, the broken part, the flaw. But what if he was the seed? Buried, yes. Struggling, yes. But alive. And something small, shifted. Not a dramatic decision, not a declaration, just a quiet thought before sleep. Try once more, just once more. He closed his eyes. The crack in the ceiling stayed, but for the first time, it looked like it was letting light in. He didn't become a genius overnight. That is not how real life works. The next morning, he still sat in the last row, but he brought a small notebook, and when the teacher wrote something on the board, Arian copied it down. Even if he didn't understand it yet, he told himself, I don't need to understand it today. I just need to meet it today. Weeks passed. He would stop at Suleiman's small house on the way home. The old man never taught him mathematics or science. He just talked about patience, about repetition, about how a muscle only grows when it's tired, and how the mind is the most important muscle of all. Discipline, Suleiman once said, is not punishment. It is the act of choosing yourself. When everything inside you wants to give up. Aryan wrote that down. He wrote it on the inside cover of his notebook, the one with the torn corner, the one that smelled like rain. Months passed. There were still hard days. Days when the words swam on the page. Days when he scored low and felt the old shame creep back, like water under a closed door. But he had learned something. He had learned that failure is not a wall. It is a door that opens slowly. If you keep knocking. He kept knocking. By the end of that school year, Aryan was not at the top of his class. He didn't win any prizes. No one gave a speech about him, but he passed every subject. And his mother, when she saw the report card, did not shout or jump or cry dramatically. She simply sat down, looked at the paper for a long time. Then she looked at him. Her eyes said everything her cracked, tired hands never could. I knew, she whispered. I always knew. There was a long pause. Aryan looked down. For the first time, not in shame, but in something close to peace. Years later, Aryan became a teacher. Not because teaching made him rich, because one afternoon a student sat in the last row of his classroom. Torn shoes, safety pin on a bag, and stared at the floor the same way he once had. Aryan walked to the back of the room. He placed a small notebook on the boy's desk. On the inside cover, something was already written. The boy looked up. Aryan smiled. You don't need to understand it today. You just need to meet it today. Here is what Aryan's story teaches us. The world will measure you quickly, by your grades, your money, your speed. But life is not a sprint. It is a river that doesn't know where it will end, but never stops moving. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are a seed in the ground, and something is happening inside you that no one can see yet. The only question that matters, will you give up before the light finds you? Don't. The light is closer than you think. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Someone who is sitting in the last row of their life, and has forgotten that they belong in the front. You know who that person is. Send this to them. This was Inspirian, where every story is a mirror, and every video is a reminder that you are stronger than you think. Subscribe to Inspirian, turn on the bell, because the next story might be the one that changes everything for you.